review this then. So it is the Hoover H-Wash&Dry 500. 14 kilogram wash and 9 kilogram drying capacity. 1400 spin with an eco-power inverter motor. Model number HD4149. And then there's a load of letters after that depending on the design and colour. So you can get this in different colours. You can get this in obviously white, black, I believe graphite as well. And there's also a few different design variants I think as well as this. Depending also in which country you are. So if you're watching this abroad and you know from abroad, whatever, you can probably still get this, but it probably won't look like this. Might not have this door trim. So you can buy this today for between sort of, prices seem to vary, and it's somewhere between £500 and £700 depending who you shop with and what stock they have. I bought it myself, not for that. I bought it for just over, I think £80 from auction, including all the fees. However, it is a bit scuffed. So we've got scuffed there, and there. And this was sold as untested and used at the auction. But I have come to quickly realise that it looks like somebody bought a house with this installed brand new, never used, then did a load of work to the house and then decided to put this through the auctions because they decided they didn't want it for whatever reason. I could tell that simply by all the plaster dust that was all basically scattered around all over it, and the fact that there's no mould anywhere in the drawer. Usually it's a bit of a giveaway. Once it's used, even after say 6 months, mould will start to try to appear in the drawer. But no, not in this case. And the door seal was absolutely immaculate, still is immaculate, just covered in black fluff when I got it. Bit of clean later and literally a few rinse cycles later and we are absolutely running like brand new again in this machine. And it still runs like brand new. And sure enough, it does run like brand new. So when it does get sold, eventually somebody's getting a pretty much barely used Hoover H-Wash&Dry. Even if it has got a few scuffs on it. There is one thing that you will have taken into consideration when you're buying this, and that is the depth of this machine. This machine is 66.5 centimetres deep. That's up to there. So it's quite considerably deeper than normal, and if you put it under a normal counter space, it will stick out. There's no getting away from that. It will stick out under a normal counter. So if you can't really have it in your kitchen under a normal counter, where can it go then? Simply put it, either be very clever and extend the kitchen counter forward, or put in a utility with an extended kitchen counter forward, or what I've seen a lot, and this is more what I'd say is more appropriate, is have a cupboard for it to go in. A laundry cupboard, almost. Maybe it's under the stairs, maybe it's outside the bathroom, maybe it's inside the bathroom. But a separate cupboard, and you can then continuously wash and dry massive loads. However, it will take a long time to do. So, it comes with I believe a 1500 watt heater. It certainly doesn't get more than 1600 watts being pulled through with the motor while it's washing, and the drying is just a mere 1100 watt heater. Yeah, massive drum, massive capacity, and it's only got 1100 watt heater. That is tiny. Oh, so don't expect the quick drying. It's not quick in any way, shape or form, unfortunately. As standard, it will come with a heat shield. It is supposed to be there, but I've taken it off for filming purposes. So behind that is your drain filter, and I believe there's an emergency door release on this as well. There's no easy way of getting in though. Like, this is all solid, it doesn't spring out or anything, which is really annoying. It's not clever enough basically. I mean, how are you supposed to get in? I'm not entirely sure. Without trying to damage the entire thing. There's a bit of a gap there, can you see? So if we put something flat in, this is rubbish. Right, oh I see. So we've got our drain filter there. No emergency door release, unfortunately. So if it stops while it's working, the door's going to be permanently locked unless you can get inside the actual machine. There's no runoff flap either, there's no drain hose. There's not anything there. That's a bit poor. Ugh. Right, so this comes with a 10-year parts guarantee. However, as explained in many videos, not just Hoover's, but if a company such as Hoover, Beko, Hotpoint, Indesit, Candy, and all of them offer you a 5 or 10-year free parts guarantee, you can only get the free parts if you use their call out. You cannot, under any circumstances, order free parts for your own machine for you to fit. There's no way around it. And then effectively what you're actually really paying for is all the parts, because their call out charge is a lot more expensive than normal. And this is how they get away with it normally. So with the likes of companies that don't do it, they have a much lower call out charge, but you then pay for the parts. Don't forget, you could be paying 160 odd quid just to unblock a filter. You could be paying £160 for a £3 part. Right, so to open the door, it's just a pull system. Your door handle is recessed here. It's got a couple of grips. Pull it open, and we are greeted by our huge 84-litre drum. It's actually the same 13-kilogram drum, only they've remodeled, I think, the door bowl just to get that extra few litres out of it. Right. So we got our ratings plate here. There's our model code there. HD 4149 AMBCB-1-80. Yeah, all that. Obviously, Hoover recommends Ariel and no. A P&G collaboration there. So, there you go. 1600 watt max draw, 13 amp, etc. We've got our QR code that will take you to the Hoover site, and you should be able to then view stuff for the machine, such as like the energy label and the instruction manual. So our dryer duct is here. It's actually kind of moulded in the door seal, and it attaches further up. And then that is actually deflecting obviously into the drum using the actual rubber. Then we've got a door deflector here. That will stop any items from getting lodged within the door bowl and stuff like that. Then we've got basically our water. This is not a water dryer. Basically this attaches to the drawer, and all your detergent, all of it, fabric softener, detergent, all goes through this jet spout here. It's a power mix jet, effectively. Now it's quite good because it does mean it should shove all detergent straight onto the load, so you don't lose any detergent whatsoever through the bottom of the machine or the sump. And that means it can get mixed in straight away with the laundry and not get left behind. Right, this is our drum. Yeah, that's how deep it is. It's right up to my elbow by the time I get to here. So much so that the drum paddles are special to it. If you have the, I believe the 12 or 13 or 14 kilogram models like this, because they all use pretty much the same drum, near enough, they use these specialist bigger paddles. They're much longer and come further back here. This gap that's here is quite normal in Hoovers, because if you have it like the 6, 7 or 8, 9, 10 kilogram, the paddles end there, and then there's usually a bit here anyway for however deep the drum is. Your standard drum actually ends there, and then you just start adding to it for depending on the load size. It's quite cool how Hoover and Candy modulate that. Right, another thing as well, suspension. It's not bouncy. Not necessarily because it's new, but because it has 4 suspension struts on it. Yeah, 4. Yeah, don't worry, this will not run off during spin. Strangely, whilst I do think that the sort of the lower models, like the 7, 8, 9, 10 kilogram models, are a little bit rubbish, to put it lightly, these bigger models don't have the drum failures as them, and the cabinets are built better. Don't know why. There we go. We'll have a guess how much is there. Comment down below right now. Nope, 5 kilogram. That's 5 kilogram in there. And yeah, if you just shove that into a 5 kilogram modern machine, it isn't going to fit. Don't worry about the 84 litre drum. The filling ratio is probably about right for it, since obviously like a 10 kilogram Hoover I think is around 58 litres. So, right, so we got our control display at the top. On and off is directly at the switch here, at the top dead centre here. You can turn it on either way, of course, being a modern machine. So, turn it one way or the other. We'll go, obviously clockwise round. So, first one we've got is Wi-Fi. It's not set up, that's why it's coming up with menu Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi icon is there for flashing. You have to go through the Hoover Wizard Wi-Fi app to set it all up, and your own Wi-Fi, and just follow the instructions there. It can work on some models, although the Wi-Fi app itself is a bit rubbish. Right, then we've got the cottons cycle. So it presets at a time of 2 hours 50 on 60 degrees at full spin at 1400 RPM. Obviously it's made for washing a full load of cotton laundry, but because this machine has this kg plus mode, it means it will measure how much laundry is in the washing machine by how much water is being taken in. Simply put, the longer the valves are switched on for the water, the more laundry there is. Simple as, really. Right, the way kg plus mode works is that the time that it is kind of showing you right now is not quite for a full load. If it's bigger than, I think, say like 10, 11 kilo, it should add more time on, but it doesn't. And that's what I thought. If it's less load, of course, the smaller load, it will take off time. You'll see this in effect when we start this load in a minute, because of course, like I said, there's only 5 kilograms in there. And we are going to be using a cotton cycle. So that time will get reduced. And quite a lot as well. If you have something like a very small 3 kilogram load, that time could drop as little as, well, about 1:20 hours, even at 60 degrees. Another thing as well, that time is for all temperatures. It doesn't matter what temperature you select, it's still 2 hours 50 regardless. Of course, you can have 40, 30, 20, and cold, and of course 90. 2 hours 50 regardless of what temperature, but it all depends on the load size. Then we've got spin speed. We can lower it to 1000 800, 400, and we can also select no spin, which will cancel both the intermediate spins and the final spin. Right. Then we've got a time delay button here. Looks like we've got half an hour steps up to 10 hours, and then from 10 hours, no, half an hour steps again. Interesting. Quite a lot of flexibility then. Right, 24 hours time delay as standard on a lot of machines nowadays. Right, then we've got this. It's a little t-shirt /R. So if we push it, you'll notice the time drops. If I push it again, the time drops again. So effectively we've got heavy, normal, and light soil settings. So yeah, now a 37 for a cotton 90. There's one caveat with that. Because of the small heater, it is not going to heat up to 90 in time. Full stop, actually. Because even if you'd put a small load in, because it then detects the size of the load and reduces the time, it reduces the time for the wash and therefore doesn't give you enough time to heat. You'd be lucky if you hit anywhere beyond around 60 on any cotton cycle. On any, you know, either on 90 or 60. Yeah. The heater is just too small. Full stop. It's small. It's too small even on the 8 kilo. So the fact that you've got it on a 14 kilo as well, it's not good. Right, then we've got another annoyance. This is your options here. So we've got pre-wash, which allows on a... Well, it says 14 minutes. The way the pre-wash works on this is that it will detect the load on the pre-wash section, so therefore it won't do it later on in the main wash. So even though it looks like it only adds on 14 minutes for the pre-wash itself actually lasts for up to around half an hour, depending on the size of the load. Yeah, quite clever. So it will detect the size of the load, then it'll go into pre-wash mode, it'll up the water level for it, and heat up to 30 degrees before then draining. And yeah, it'll wash for I think about 15 minutes or so, so it's not bad. Then we've got extra rinse. Name says exactly what it says. It basically adds another rinse onto the cycle. So if it does 2 rinses, it will now do 3. If it does 3 rinses, it will now do 4. If it supposedly does 3 rinses with a full load, it will reduce how many rinses it is with a small load, but then it'll add that rinse back on. So that's all it does. Then we got steam. Really? So what steam will do is add on a, well, it looks like around 40 minutes to the time, and we'll do a steam phase at some point. Gonna be honest though, no idea what steam actually does or how effective it is, because I've never used it. But we are going to use it in this demonstration later on. But that's the annoyance though. You can't have a pre-wash, an extra rinse and steam together. You can only have one or the other. This is just like the Hisense. It's really annoying. Why couldn't you allow me to just kind of go like pre-wash, extra rinse, steam, and then pre-wash and steam. Ooh. Then say pre-wash and extra rinse and steam, pre-wash and steam, and then just all 3. Then we got this. Now it's a washer dryer, so you get this section on the controls. It's basically your drying. So we've got extra dry setting. So this will use the center dry here up to cover dry, then add a time period to finish it off, hems and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest, if you are running a full load on drying, you might want to select extra drying, over cupboard dry. Then we've got iron dry. Iron dry will leave moisture in the clothes on purpose, so they will come out a little bit damp, ready for you to run over with an iron to make ironing both quick and easy. Then we've got cupboard dry. This will get stuff perfectly dry, ready for put away. Then after cupboard dry, we've got time drying. So press it once, we've got 120 minutes of time drying, then 90 minutes of time drying, 60 minutes of time drying, and then 30 minutes of time drying. I'm going to be honest, even with 5 kilograms, you're going to want excessive drying because 2 hours is just not long enough, full stop. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Right, then we've got this button here. Now if I push it, it does nothing. Yeah. If I push it again, it comes up with night and day. Yeah. This button's cursed. And then if I push it again, we can't select that one, which is drum clean. But if we push it again, now we can have the top one. I wanted the top one first. Ugh, it really annoys me. That's to see that Hoover and Candy haven't gotten away with their annoyances. Anyway, even more annoying. So Active Wash apparently says in the manual it's made for using with the cycles that it's selected with. It will wash at a low temperature economically for small loads. Yeah, except one thing. This is actually just a dedicated program. It doesn't actually do anything any differently on any of the other programs. You'll see that in a minute, what I mean. Yeah. Then we've got night and day. Now what night and day does, according to the manual, depending on which program you have selected, it will limit the spin speed to 400 RPM on the intermediate spins, increase the water level on the rinsers to obviously compensate, and we'll end with a rinse hold, which means at the end of the cycle then you'll have to press play start to then do the final spin at 1000 RPM on a cotton cycle. Right. Yeah, and you can't have above 1000, and oddly enough you can't have above around 60. And then we can change the soil level, but it's not long enough. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Obviously you can't have drum clean. I'll show you where you can have drum clean later on. Same with Active Wash, it's just a dedicated cycle, set at 30 degrees, 1000 spin, it's done in 20 minutes. It's basically the 14-minute wash, isn't it? Just a little bit longer. Right, if you wonder where drum clean is, which is down here, you can only select it using the spin and drain. Now I'll quickly go through spin and drain, then I'll go through all the other programs. If you want to spin only, you select one of the spin speeds, and we can have up to 1400, so we can respin cottons at full spin. If we select no spin, it will do drain only. Once it's drained, it will just stop and unlock again. For obvious reasons, we can't have any options. Strangely, we can have drying now. Right. Well, then we can't have Eco-Active, we can't have night and day, but we can have nothing. Where is it? And I'll press it and it's done nothing. Oh, now we can have it. Then we can have drum clean. So it's recommended that you do it after every 50 cycles. Personally, I would never do it because I wash hot enough anyway, so I don't need to do it, and I use powder. What obviously drum clean is going to do is fill up with water. Not used it yet, so I've no idea how effective it is. Fill with water, it's supposed to probably heat up to, you know, either 60 or 90 degrees. To 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Definitely 90 degrees. Not 90 degrees, because it can't do 90 degrees. And probably spin it round the drum to clean it. Like I said, never used it, so no idea how effective it's going to be. But there's drum clean for you, if you can select it. Now I've noticed with this button, it seems to react badly depending on where this is scrolling at the time. Anyway, I'll go back to Eco 4060. Now you'll notice that there is no temperature selected. It says 3 hours 16, but that is not actually for a full load. That's for a reduced load. Realistically, it's taking over 4 hours to do a full load. In fact, it takes 4 hours to do a 9 kilogram load. Right. So no temperature selected, it will do Eco 4060. If you actually hit the temperature, 60 will come up, the time will go up by 1 minute. Now this is cotton standard Eco 60. It's the older style, basically, cycles for the energy label. However, the energy label still uses the standard Eco 60 cycle as part of their testing. And if we hit 40, you'll watch the time drop by a lot, 2 hours 7. And this is cotton standard 40. That's a huge difference though. Again, it's not, that time is not for full load. KG Plus will obviously kick in and it will add on more time. If we select 30 or 20, it will do a normal cotton cycle, I believe, with a little bit less water. So it will still hit 30 as normal and still wash as normal cottons, effectively. You can have extra rinse with them, but that's it. Yeah. We can obviously change the spin, and we can't change the level. So we can press it. It's not reacting though, can you see? It's not telling me no, you can't have it, but it's just not changing it whatsoever. That's normal though. Right. Go back to that Eco 4060, which you can have extra rinse for as well. Neat. No special programs are available for it. Great. You've got drying available for it. Now, if you want to do a full load wash and dry for Eco Cycle, so modern wash and dryers have full load wash and dry cycles built into them, and it will only run the Eco 4060 cycle basically with a full load, which is what I'll come to learn. And it does state in the manual to run this program, basically put 9 kilograms of laundry in and then select cupboard dry, and that will do your Eco 4060 full wash and dry cycle. It says 7 hours 29 minutes. Basically, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes for drying and 3 hours 17 minutes for the wash cycle. However, like I stated, it will add on time for the wash. And I've also stated the time for the drying is also wrong. 3 hours 50 is way off. 3 hours 50 is probably about right for around 5 kilograms. For 9, it's 6 hours. And that's not because it's just on Eco 4060. That's how long it takes. Full stop. You're not getting away from it. Right, then we've got wool and hand wash. Made for washing, of course, garments labelled as the wool cycle. Made of wool that are machine washable, as well as garments that are labelled hand wash. Temperature wise, you can only go up to 30. Yeah, that's a bit annoying, since you can wash wool at 40. Spin speed is at 800 RPM and can't be changed. You can't change the soil level, and apart from extra rinse, God, the scrolling this takes forever. There's also no steam. Yeah, there's drying. You've got wool drying on this. You can also select it separately over here. So max load for washing is 2.5 kilograms for wool, but if you're drying, the max load is only 1 kilogram, as they put it in the manual, around 3 sweaters. Although, as I've actually found, probably 1.5 sweaters, since 1 sweater is 0.7 kilograms. Trust me, this works. It works really, really well. Tested it last night, put 2 wool items in, and it has not damaged them in any way. How cool is that? However, they do recommend that you only dry woolens that do state that they are for drying at low temperature. Other than that, don't do it. Mine didn't say they were tumble dryable, and yet to dry them. Right, so after a couple of minutes, let's say after around 5 minutes of not being started, it will go into standby mode like this. Same with at the end of the cycle as well. And that's all standby does. It will just go STBY with a lower brightness, but it won't actually switch off. Right. Just press any button and it will come back on. So we've got 20 degrees. This allows you to wash up to a full load, 14 kilogram, economically at 20 degrees as part of the new European regulations, which I don't like, because this is basically usually a cottons or synthetic cycle anyway, put separately on the dial. I don't know why they do it. Right. And they don't make any other changes either. It's not like they change how much water it uses or anything like that. They just have to shove it there. It is weird and bizarre. When you've got Eco 4060 here, you could just shove 20 degrees under there as well. So annoying when they do this. Anyway. Obviously go cold as well if you want. Spin speed presets 1,000 despite it being made for 14 kilograms of cottons. That's not very economical. So it looks strangely like it's a cotton cycle, but it limits the spin to 1,000 RPM, changes it up there slightly to a degree or another. So that is a medium soil level cotton cycle. Great. You can have extra rinse and you can have steam, but we can't have pre-wash. But you can have 9 a day, which is also an hour 18, makes it 40 degrees and 1,000 spin. Ah, yeah, about that. Yeah, this is why 9 a day and this active wash is a load of baloney. It's just they're actually specialist programs, not options. Ugh. Then we got synthetics and coloureds, apparently. Made for washing, synthetics and coloureds. What more do you want? Basically, max load is a half load, 7 kilograms. Temperature wise, it will preset at 40, but of course it can go up to 60. Spin speed is limited to 1,000 RPM, which is a little bit of a poor side simply because nowadays Becos, Indicits, the lot, synthetic cycle has been raised to at least 1,200 RPM and even 1,400 RPM in some cases. Then we've got our soil level there, so we preset at maximum setting. Now we also got medium and then light. Light takes it down to an hour 17. Don't forget this has KG plus mode as well, so it's an hour 17 for a full load. Put anything less in and it can be down and done within about 45 minutes, strangely. Right. Again, if you select 60, on the long setting it will probably just about hit 60 degrees, strangely. But if you have a reduced load, it might not. Right, we can add on a pre-wash if you want, extra rinse, or steam, and that's important, the or. Then we've got drying, and it will dry at low heat this time around. So synthetics dries at low heat. We can have obviously extra dry, easy iron, cover dry, or time drying of 2 hours, an hour and a half, an hour, or half an hour. Then we've got our specialist programs. I'm not touching them anymore because I'm annoyed. Then we've done that already. Then we've got rinse and spin. It's synthetics, rinses and spin actually. 3 rinses followed by a short spin. All done for the synthetic style. We can add on, we can't have extra rinse, we can't have steam, we can't have pre-wash. We can have drying though, but it will dry at low temperature. Right. Then we've got Soft Care by the Butterfly. It's effectively, actually it's not silks, it's acrylics. It's the acrylic cycle, it's been carried over the last couple of years. Max temperature is actually 40. So what it will do, it will fill with a high water level, but we'll use a normal intensive wash rhythm. It'll also limit the spin to 400, which has been normal actually for years for the acrylic cycle. You can't change the soil level. We can add on extra rinse, or we can add on steam. There's no drying available. Now, so we've got specialist programs. And we've got the Rapid Cares. Soft Care max load is a quarter load, so 3.5 kilograms. Right, then we've got Rapid Care. So, Rapid Care, you'll start off with 40 minutes. If you use this button here, it will increase it. So we've got 30 minutes and then 44 minutes. And what each cycle will do will depend on how long you've selected. So you can select up to 40 degrees on all of them, and you can set up to 1400 RPM on all of them. But be aware, if you select a faster spin speed, it will take longer. If you select 40 degrees, it won't hit it. Yeah, simple as really. We can have extra rinse on all of these, as well as, and strangely, we can also have drying. It will do synthetics drying on Rapid Care. So 30 minutes. Again, it will always default to 30 and 800 spin. And then 44 minutes. Again, it will always default to 30 degrees and 800 spin. But 40 degrees and 1400 RPM is available for all of them. If you're wanting a 40 degree cycle, I would suggest at least selecting the 30-minute wash. But guaranteed at least 40 on the 44-minute wash. Max load size is 2 kg for the 40-minute wash, 3 kg for the 30-minute wash, and 4 kg on the 44-minute wash. Right, then we've got all in one at 59 minutes. Annoyingly, there's two annoyances. One, it doesn't go up to 60. Technically, Hygiene Care is exactly the same program, just you limit the load to 2 kilograms. And two, it doesn't preset at 1400. So you have to do it manually. Right. What all-in-one allows you to do is wash a full load of all cottons and synthetics of all colours, all in one. You can have extra rinse and you can have steam options. Effectively, this is part of the sort of the rapid cycles, so yeah. just, you can put full load in. Right. Then we've got Total Care. 2 hours, 30 degrees, 1000 spin, constant manual. It's there to protect colours in some way. Strangely, you can't change the soil level. And there are no options for it. There's also no drying for it either. And of course we've got no specialist options either. So it's a unique cycle in the fact that you can't really do anything with it in terms of changing it up. It presets at 30, you can lower that if you want. It presets at 1000 RPM, you can lower that if you want. But other than that, no. Also, KG mode, I've found, doesn't actually activate on Total Care either. So it's 2 hours, regardless of how much you put in. Right, then we've got drying. So we've got wool drying. Again, max load 1 kilogram. This is drying only cycles now. So if we want to dry wool, it'll preset at cover dry and you can't change it whatsoever. Then we've got synthetics dry, low heat drying. Max load 7 kilograms for synthetics. It will preset at extra dry. There's iron dry. There's cover dry. Then obviously you got 2 hours, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes settings. Then we've got high heat, which is for cottons. Max load 9 kilogram. But like I said before, that 3 hours 50 isn't for a full load. So we've got extra dry, iron dry, cover dry, and then time drying. So that's all the programs and options looked at. Now we'll look at detergent. Right, we've got our detergent dispenser here at the top. It looks quite big, but looks can be quite deceiving, unfortunately. It's bigger than some of the smaller capacity Hoovers, but the actual capacity amount is not very big. Let me just show you. So, I want to put in around, and it sounds daft, but I want to put in around 200 millilitres of powder with some Vanish to get these clean. So, we've got some Vanish, there's a scoop there. And we want to put in, say, with this, heavy soil for 5 kilo. In fact, we want very heavy soil, so we want double the amount. So 5 kilogram is naturally, where is it? 75 mil. Of course it is, there. So we want at least double that. And because of how we know how dirty these actually are, we want even more than that. So we worked out you need something like around 200 mil to get these clean. There's 150 mil, 160 mil. As well as the 30 mil of Vanish. Yeah, that's now full. Near enough. The max level is 200 mil, and for the pre-wash, it's 100 mil. So what we're going to do, because we can't fit it all in the main wash, we'll put some in the pre-wash. There we go. So we put 50 mil in the pre-wash, 100 and something mil in the main wash. Yeah, 100 mil max for the pre-wash, 200 mil max for the main wash, and for fabric softener, it is absolutely enormous. Yeah, that's 35 mil, and it's only made a dent. So strangely, the fabric softener level, I think, is around 150 mil, which is a lot, considering that we use concentrated fabric softeners everywhere. So they've not put enough size in for the powder, but they put plenty size in for the fabric softener. Weird. Very weird. So because of how it's designed, yeah, you're going to have to use the pre-wash section if you're just doing main wash only. Of course, if you are wanting to use the pre-wash anyway, good luck trying to fit the powder in. I put in obviously a full loading, followed the manufacturer's instructions for very lightly soiled and soft water, and found that I still ended up filling the entire compartment. So if you've got anything that's normal or even heavily soiled with a full load, you ain't going to fit in. It's just too small. Right, so we're going to select cotton at 60, and we're going to select steam. And we're going to select drying. So we can't have steam and drying. Okay. We can have extra rinse though. So yeah, we can't have steam and drying. Right, put on there. So just do cotton 60 with covered drying. Right. Right, so let's give this out of 10 then. Well, being a Hoover, you'd expect the result to be quite low. And it is. But maybe not as low as you might think. We'll start off with the fact that this 14 kilogram drum is actually quite generous in comparison to, say, 10 kilo or the 9 kilo. Really generous. You know, it's 84 litres, so therefore, you know, loading capacity is something like, say, what, about 6.5 litres to a kilo? That's better than, say, 58 litres for 10 kilo. See what I mean? Better. But then on the flip side of things, I don't like the fact you can't select more than one option. I don't like the fact that we've got specialist programs that are basically almost promoted as additional options rather than programs, and they can only be selected on certain programs in certain ways. So much so that if you want to tub clean, you're going to have to refer to the instruction manual. That's not very good. 3, I've washed these and the odour, despite being washed hot and tumble dried, hasn't actually removed the odour. So drying doesn't remove the odour. Steam will, but then you can't select steam with drying. Understandable, but yeah. I've no idea about the steam performance, because I was going to use it then, but you can't combine it. And as for everything else, it's a bit, I think the Collins program is too short, which is a really weird thing to say. You know, a full 14 kilo load done in 2 hours 50. Yeah, considering the amount of drum space it has after it's all soaked, it needs longer. And that's on the longest setting. Forget the short setting. Length for drying, too long. I mean, too long compared to, say, Indesit, not point. But then again, it's a washer dryer. Hasn't really changed over the years. Build quality. This door's actually not too bad, actually. I kind of like this door. It's actually improved over, say, previous generations. Although we have now got a plastic door hinge. Don't know how that's going to go on. However, if I push on the top here, it all flexes downwards. However, they do feel better though than, say, the other design that they have for Hoovers. So, all the touch buttons work. The sensor drying works quite well actually for it. Just takes a long time. So there's ups and downs, quite lots of ups and downs. Program flexibility is both good and poor all at the same time. It's one of them really. Wool drying, all that worked. That worked quite well actually. Fine, great, I suppose. Synthetics drying works fine, all that fine. So the dryer side of the washer dryer works quite well, just a bit slow. The washing machine side of the things lets it down because, of course, if you put a full load in and it's like 90, it isn't going to hit 90 in any way, shape or form due to the very small heater in it. The wash heater is too small, full stop. And it will time out, full stop. It's not like it will extend to achieve the higher temperature. It won't do that. It's really annoying. I don't like the fact that 59 cycle only goes to 40. It should go up to 60 really, ideally. Or the fact that it only has now a really short spin instead of a really long old spin like it used to do. So there's ups and downs, and there's a lot more downs. So I'm going to give this out of 10 then. Well, there is one thing going for it, so that's the price. It's 600 quid. It's actually really cheap for what it is, and strangely, the 14kg drum on this is both more stable than the lower counterparts, thanks to having 4 suspension dampers, and 2 is more reliable too. They don't seem to have the bearing issues or the spider failure issues as the smaller counterparts. Probably because they design them in such a way where they need them to work with 14 kilo all the time. So strangely, it's more reliable in that sense. It's slightly better built than, say, the other design from Hoover in that sense. And it's not actually, and of course no hair stuff is in here really at all. So they're still being made, you know, and that's great. So I'm going to give it 6.5 out of 10. Or maybe 7 out of 10. I'm going to be a bit more generous because it is quite cheap for what it is. You go find another 14 kilo washing machine out there and you're going to come across another Hoover, and it's exactly the same price as the washer dryer, which is really odd. And if you were to go find a 14kg washer dryer of this size, you're not going to find one. And if you are going to find one that's even close, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So, in that sense, it's quite a good value for money. And I think that's why it's going to go with 7 out of 10. There's a lot of flaws in it, but to be fair, for how much you're paying, it's not too bad in that sense, overall. To be fair, I think everything's just getting so cheap and nasty nowadays that even compared to other brands, they're just getting as bad. Right, I hope you enjoyed this review. Give us a like if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment down below. You're going to see a lot more of this, especially on the second channel. I think I'm going to do some wash races with this as well, as a washing machine of course, maybe as a washer dryer as well. There might be some wash and dry races at some point. I'll see. We have got the other Hoover H-Wash&Dry that I've still got, the white one, remember from years ago. That's also never been used. That's hidden away somewhere. It still needs repairing and fitting and fixing, but other than that, yeah, we could use that as well. So either this will be sold or the other one will be sold at some point, but yeah, either way, it's going to go into wash races, I think, from now on. I've done a lot more videos of it on it as well, just for the washing machine side of things, like the normal cycles. They're on the washing machine TV side channel, so go check that out. I am going to leave a link down below for the playlist for this as well. I'm going to start doing that with a lot of the other reviews as well. There's going to be playlists attached to go to washing machine TV for that specific machine. So if there's any other washing machines in the review playlist, check them out, and then you can follow the playlist from that to the other channel if you want to see more of it. Right, so give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. So bye for now.